It's hard to believe it's been 10 years since the people of Kaskaskia Island, Illinois, had to flee their homes from the raging waters. Here's somebody's front door. In fact, I remember that morning. The residents only had a couple of minutes to decide what personal belongings they'd take with them and what they'd have to leave behind. As Illinois National Guard choppers swooped in to ferry people to higher ground, the drama of human survival was being played out beneath them. More than 70 residents on Kaskaskia Island were fleeing from a raging levee break north of town.
It looked fairly good this morning, and all of a sudden she blew. I mean, a stream came out a quarter of a mile straight out.
While barges packed with loaded pickups and people crept across the Mississippi to St. Mary's and higher ground, Debbie Armbruster and her 2 children were catching the next one out.
They told us to get off about 12 o'clock last night, that if they had some trouble.
What do you do now, just grabbing everything you can?
Yeah, everything you can, possibly can. Get yourself off is the main thing.
This was a dangerous exodus. Richard McConaughey escaped in his old VW bus, steering it through rising floodwaters.
We had water about that deep in the interior of the car coming through, and thank God the engine kept running.
By noon, all residents of the island had been evacuated. A Coast Guard helicopter conducted a farm-by-farm check, carefully lowering crew members to the ground in a rescue basket, allowing them to secure homes. Right now, it's too dangerous for the women and children to go back into town. They've been kept at this levee with their entire lifetime of belongings at the water's edge. They're all hoping to get off all right. As worried family members waited for their husbands and fathers to return with belongings, their lives were piled into trucks. Residents who could escape an island, but not the flood. This is Randy Jackson. Today's Kaskaskia's spirit is still alive. Though the village lost 2/3 of its population after the flood, its 18 residents now remember that fateful day when they lost so much. Dina Piku, a 4th-generation islander, remembers trying to save their livestock as some animals hung onto a shed roof for their lives.
We had hogs and we had chickens and we had cats, and you know, you grabbed what you could and you got to higher ground, and that didn't mean that you could grab everything.
Kaskaskia, Illinois' first state capital, is also home to Immaculate Conception Catholic Church, founded in the 17th century. Almost destroyed by the unrelenting floodwaters when a portion of the village's 50-foot-high levee burst, the historic church, some say, illustrates the spirit of this island and what the flood taught its residents. Ronnie Kecker and his family have farmed this land for 3 generations.
It's a shame something like that has to happen for people to actually realize that there are other people, your neighbors.
The levee, which ruptured that July morning in '93, has since been repaired. This fertile island that Indians and colonists settled 300 years ago was now rich with rows and rows of corn and wildlife and the spirits of all who still live here.
They came and they loved it and they stayed, and that's where we're at right now. You know, everybody says, why would you go back? This is a place where we feel safe. This is the place where we want to be. This is home.
On Kaskaskia Island, Randy Jackson, News Channel 5.